Evan Cole walked quietly through the metal corridors of the transport ship. The hum of engines vibrated through the floor, but he barely noticed. He was used to long trips through space, and his mind focused on the mission ahead. The neutral planet they were heading to had sent a distress signal. Raiders had attacked settlements on the outskirts, and the planet's small defense forces could not hold them off. The Galactic Union had sent humans to help, and Evan was part of the team. He was not a young soldier, not too old either. His brown hair was cut short, and his green eyes were calm, always studying. He carried no unnecessary weapons, only what was needed. In his pack were small tools, a few grenades, and a rifle. He preferred precision and planning over brute strength, but he had strength and skill when it was needed. Across from him, a young woman named Lily Hart checked her equipment for the 100th time. She was more nervous than Evan, though she tried to hide it. Her blonde hair was tied back in a tight braid, and her blue eyes flicked between the windows and the control panels. Lily had joined the mission to help people, but she had not faced real combat before. She admired Evan's calmness. "Are you sure this plan will work?" she asked quietly, not wanting anyone else to hear. Evan glanced at her. "It has a good chance. We just need to stay patient and watch their movements. Don't rush. That is how they make mistakes." Lily nodded, but her hands were shaking slightly. Evan noticed, but he said nothing. There was no need to scare her more. They were almost to the planet, and soon the battle would begin. Meanwhile, in a distant part of the galaxy, Sarira Vex prepared for the same mission from a very different perspective. Sarira was an alien warrior, tall and muscular, with blue-gray skin and sharp features. Her eyes glowed faintly when she was excited or angry. She had heard rumors about a human warrior leading the defense on the planet. She laughed at the idea. Humans were weak and slow, easy to defeat. This one, she thought, would be no different. Sarira sharpened her energy blades, the light reflecting in her eyes. "This will be easy," she said to herself. "One human will fall before I even touch him." Her soldiers, smaller and less skilled than she was, waited for her orders. She smiled. They would all follow her lead, and victory would be theirs. The ship carrying the humans entered the planet's atmosphere. The view outside the window changed from black space to green and brown land. The planet was mostly forests and rivers, with scattered settlements. Raiders had burned some villages, leaving smoke in the sky. The humans were coming to protect what remained. Evan studied the landscape below. He could see the ruined buildings where raiders had attacked. He pointed to a narrow canyon near one of the settlements. "This is where we will set up. We can use the canyon to our advantage. They won't see us coming until it is too late." The other soldiers nodded. Evan took a deep breath. He liked to know exactly what he would face, and this place gave him many possibilities. He did not need luck. He needed observation and patience. Far above, Sarira's ship descended quickly. She was confident, almost too confident. She had fought many species before and had never lost. A human? That was laughable. She studied the planet from her viewport and selected a drop point near the settlement. From there, she would strike fast and eliminate the human warrior first. As both sides landed, the air on the planet smelled of ash and wet soil. The humans moved carefully, hiding among the rocks and trees. Evan led the way, his eyes scanning for movement. He set small traps, simple ones that could slow or confuse the enemy. He placed sensors and markers, knowing the raiders would strike at night. Sarira moved differently. She landed near the settlement and immediately began to plan her attack. She ignored the destruction around her, focusing only on the human. She believed that when she found him, it would be over quickly. That night, the forest was quiet. Only the sound of leaves rustling in the wind could be heard. Evan crouched behind a large rock, watching a narrow path where the raiders might appear. Lily sat beside him, trying to stay calm. She looked at him, noticing his stillness. "How do you stay so calm?" she whispered. Evan looked at her. "Because panic is useless. Fear is a tool if you use it right. If you let it control you, you die." He smiled faintly. "Watch and learn. You will see what I mean soon." Far away, Sarira climbed a hill, her energy blades ready. She was excited. She could feel the battle coming. Her soldiers moved behind her, waiting for her signal. She did not plan to fail. Suddenly, one of her scouts reported movement near the canyon. "There is a human ahead," it said, voice trembling. Sarira grinned. "Bring him to me," she said. "I will finish this. I will finish this. I will finish this." She moved quickly, leaping from rock to rock, confident. But as she approached, she noticed something unusual. The canyon seemed almost empty. No one was directly visible. Yet there were signs of movement, disturbed rocks, broken branches, subtle tracks. Evan watched from his hidden position. He had expected her approach. He had studied the terrain carefully. The canyon was a perfect trap if used correctly. He smiled slightly. This would not be an easy fight for her, though she thought it would be. Sarira's first strike came faster than Evan expected. He had barely time to react. She jumped from a high ledge, swinging her energy blades in a wide arc. Evan rolled to the side, avoiding the strike. The sound of the blades cutting air made him alert. The battle had begun, though neither fully realized the scale yet. Evan did not rush. He waited, observing her style. He noticed how she moved, the way she leaned into her strikes, and the small gaps in her defense. Sarira was surprised. The human was faster than she thought. He dodged her attacks, countered with precise strikes, and never panicked. Each time she thought she had an advantage, he found a way to turn it around. Her soldiers watched from a distance, confused and worried. "This is not possible," one said. "Humans cannot move like that." Sarira growled. She had faced many warriors, but none had reacted like this human. He was not reckless. He did not fight with anger or fear. He fought with thought. She could feel her confidence slipping. Evan smiled faintly under his mask. He had expected this reaction. She would underestimate him, but only for a short time. The key was patience. He allowed her to think she was ahead, then used small maneuvers to control the space around her. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The night deepened, and both sides watched silently. Neither Evan nor Sarira gave up ground. Both were determined, but their goals were different. Evan wanted to protect the settlements. Sarira wanted to destroy him. Lily whispered to Evan, He's still alive? How?" Evan shook his head. "Not just alive. He is controlling the fight. Watch and learn. It is about more than strength. It is about understanding." Sarira paused briefly on a rock. She was breathing heavily, her blades glowing faintly. She realized that the human was unlike any opponent she had faced. He moved differently, thought differently, and reacted differently. She could feel the fear of failure creeping into her mind, though she hated to admit it. Evan observed quietly. He had never wanted a fight, but if one came, he would use every tool he had. He understood her patterns now. He could predict her next strike. The night ended with neither fully retreating, but both sides knew that a larger battle was coming. Evan had set the stage for traps and advantages, and Sarira had learned that humans were not as easy as they seemed. As dawn approached, both warriors paused. The sun's first light reflected on rocks and broken trees. Evan looked at Lily. "Tomorrow, it will be harder, but we are ready." Sarira, from her position on the hill, watched the human warrior below. Her anger was mixed with a strange respect. "This, human, is not what I thought," she murmured. "Tomorrow, it will not be easy." And so the first night ended, with two warriors aware of each other's strength. One was human, calm and careful. The other was alien, fierce and proud. Both believed in their cause, but both had begun to see that the battle ahead would be very different from what they expected. The neutral world below remained unaware of the duel about to change everything. Evan adjusted his equipment one last time and prepared for sleep. Not for rest, but to stay alert. Every movement mattered. Every choice mattered. And in the shadows, Sarira prepared too, readying herself for a battle she had thought would be easy but already felt much harder than she imagined. The morning sun stretched over the canyon, lighting the broken trees and rocks with a soft orange glow. Birds sang in the distance, but the air was tense. Evan Cole moved quietly through the canyon floor, his eyes scanning every rock and shadow. The humans had set up simple traps, overnight tripwires, small explosives, and hidden sensors. They were not dangerous enough to kill large numbers, but they would slow down anyone who tried to move carelessly. Lily Hart followed him, carrying a small rifle. She had stayed close to Evan all night, learning from him. Her hands still shook a little, but she was gaining confidence. Evan noticed and gave her a small nod of encouragement. "Stay low. Watch the ground and the trees," he said softly. "They will try to take the high ground first. That is their advantage." Lily looked up at the canyon walls. The rocks were jagged and steep. It would be easy for an enemy to hide and attack from above. She swallowed hard. "Do you really think we can handle her?" Evan did not answer immediately. He knew she meant Sarira. "We have to. Humans always find a way," he said finally. His voice was calm, not boastful, just certain. That certainty made Lily feel a little braver. Far above, Sarira Vex crouched on a high ledge, watching the canyon below. Her blue-gray skin glinted in the sun, and her energy blades were ready. Her soldiers stood behind her, tense but trusting her leadership. She had spent the night thinking about the human warrior she would face. He was clever, she admitted, but she still believed she was stronger. "They are just hiding," she said to her squad. "The human will run when he sees me. I will finish him fast, and the rest will follow. Do not fail me." Her soldiers nodded. Some whispered that humans were tricky, but none questioned her openly. Sarira had a reputation for strength and victory. She had never lost a battle she believed she could win. Evan had already noticed small movements on the canyon walls. He could see faint shapes, shadows that shifted too quickly to be natural. He crouched behind a rock and gestured to Lily. "They are coming from above," he whispered. "Do not fire yet. Wait for the right moment. Let them make the first mistake." The alien soldiers began to climb down, testing the paths that would bring them closer. They did not notice the small tripwires Evan had set. One soldier stepped on a wire, triggering a small rockfall. The sound echoed through the canyon. The soldier stumbled and fell, barely catching himself. Sarira looked down and scowled. "Amateurs," she snapped. "Keep moving. Focus on the human." Evan moved silently through the shadows. He did not want a large battle yet. His goal was to test their movements and make Sarira overconfident. He knew that if she believed the fight would be easy, she would make mistakes. The first encounter happened near the ruins of a small building. Sarira leapt down from a rock, her energy blades glowing. Her movements were fast, almost too fast to see. She swung at Evan, expecting him to panic. Evan rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding her strike. He had not attacked. Instead, he used his knowledge of the terrain to stay out of reach. His small traps slowed some of her soldiers, and the echoes of the falling rocks confused the rest. Sarira growled in frustration. "Why is he so fast? This is impossible." She attacked again, aiming to corner him. Each swing of her blades was precise and deadly. But Evan moved calmly, dodging and observing. Lily watched from behind a large rock. She had never seen anything like this. The human was not just surviving, he was controlling the fight. She noticed how he used small rocks to trip soldiers, how he positioned himself so that Sarira's attacks would miss or hit empty space. Evan finally spoke softly, just to himself. Patience. Watch the openings. Do not overreach. Sarira jumped again, her blades slicing through the air. She was fast and strong, but each attack was slightly predictable. Evan noticed the pattern. He did not strike yet. He waited for the moment she overcommitted. That moment came when Sarira tried to land a powerful downward strike. Evan rolled forward, avoiding the blade, and used her momentum against her. She stumbled but quickly recovered. Her pride was hurt. No alien warrior had ever been outmaneuvered like this by a human. Impossible, she muttered, stepping back. Her soldiers were confused, unsure whether to attack or retreat. She signaled them to stay close. Evan did not chase her. He knew she would return. Humans did not need to win the first fight. They needed to survive, observe, and wait. That was the strength of a warrior who understood strategy. The battle continued through the canyon. Sarira tried different angles, different attacks. Evan adapted each time, using simple tricks like rolling under her strikes, pushing small boulders, and leading her into narrow spaces where her strength became less useful. At one point, Sarira leapt from a high ledge to strike Evan. He rolled to the side, and the ledge she had jumped from collapsed under her weight. She landed awkwardly, but she recovered quickly, anger burning in her eyes. "You are clever," she admitted softly, almost to herself. "But this will not last. I will win." Evan used this moment to signal Lily. She aimed her rifle carefully and fired at one of the alien soldiers trying to flank him. The shot was precise, and the soldier fell, stunned but alive. Lily felt a surge of pride. She was learning, just as Evan had promised. The canyon echoed with the sounds of combat metal clashing, energy blades humming, rocks falling. Yet Evan remained calm, thinking, analyzing every move. He had survived many battles before. But this one was different. The opponent was not just strong, but fast and smart. He needed to stay focused. Sarira paused again, circling Evan. She noticed something new, his patience, his careful observation. She had never faced an enemy who waited for her mistakes. Most ran, panicked, or charged blindly. Humans were not like that. Evan caught her hesitation. He stepped forward, but instead of striking, he spoke. "You do not need to fight like this. We do not want your death. Only to protect the people here." Sarira froze. The sound of his voice shocked her. Aliens did not usually speak like that during combat. They fought or fled. Respect or honor in the middle of battle was strange. She did not answer. She swung her blades again, faster this time, trying to ignore the surprise. The duel continued for hours. Evan and Sarira tested each other, their movements almost like a dance. Evan used simple tools, rocks, branches, and his surroundings to slow her down. Sarira relied on strength and speed, but she began to realize that raw power was not enough. Lily watched, holding her breath. She had never seen a fight like this. The human warrior was not just strong. He was smart, calm, and brave. Every move he made was calculated. Every action protected her and the small settlements they were defending. At one point, Sarira paused on a rock above Evan. She looked down at him and gritted her teeth. "You are not just a human," she said quietly. "You are dangerous." Evan looked up, his green eyes steady. Her soldiers murmured among themselves, realizing their leader was struggling in ways they had never seen. Some began to doubt their plan. By late afternoon, the first day of battle ended without a clear winner. Both sides withdrew to regroup. Evan led Lily and the other humans to a hidden area where they could rest and prepare for the next day. They had survived, and that was a victory in itself. Sarira climbed to a high perch, her energy blades resting at her sides. She looked down at the human and admitted something she had never said aloud. She had underestimated him. He was not an easy target. He was not weak. She had thought the fight would be simple, but she had been wrong. Evan sat on a rock, cleaning his rifle. He knew the battle was far from over. Sarira would come again, stronger and more determined. But he was ready. Humans had a way of surviving, of turning even impossible fights into victories. Lily sat beside him, exhausted but smiling. "I think I understand now," she said softly. "I think I understand why you are calm." Evan nodded. "Strength is not just in your body. It is in your mind. Your patience, your choices, your control of fear. That is true strength." The sun set over the canyon, painting the sky red and gold. Both warriors watched from different sides, knowing that tomorrow would bring another encounter. A duel of strength, skill, and mind awaited them. But for now, they rested, each learning from the first clash and preparing for the battles yet to come. And so, the second part of their story ended, with both human and alien aware that the fight would not be simple. One had survived with skill and patience. The other had begun to respect her opponent. Both knew that tomorrow would be a day of real tests, and neither would underestimate the other again. The next morning, the canyon was quiet again. Mist rose from the forest floor, hiding the rocks and paths. Evan Cole moved carefully, scanning the area. He had studied the terrain overnight and adjusted his plans. He placed more traps, small but effective, in narrow passages and near ledges where the enemy might appear. He did not rush. He knew patience was as important as strength. Lily Hart followed him closely, carrying her rifle. Her confidence had grown slightly after the first day. She moved carefully, listening to Evan's instructions. "Watch the trees and ledges. Do not fire unless I signal," he whispered. "We want to control the fight, not waste our energy." Lily nodded. She noticed the calm way Evan moved, the way he observed every shadow and sound. It was not fearlessness. It was focus. She wanted to be like him one day. Far above, Sarira Vex crouched on a rocky cliff. Her blue-gray skin reflected the faint morning light. She had spent the night thinking about the human warrior. He had survived her attacks, outmaneuvered her soldiers, and stayed calm under pressure. She had never faced an opponent like him. "They are clever," she admitted softly to herself. "But this will not last. I will win." Her soldiers waited behind her, tense but loyal. She had not admitted defeat, not even to herself. But she knew that the human was different from any enemy she had faced. Sarira leapt down into the canyon, moving silently at first. Her energy blades hummed as she prepared for the fight. Evan had anticipated her approach. He stayed low, hidden behind rocks and rubble, waiting for the right moment. The first strike came quickly. Sarira swung both blades in a wide arc, aiming to cut through anything in her path. Evan rolled to the side, using a small boulder as cover. He did not attack yet. His goal was to tire her, to make her overextend. Sarira's soldiers tried to flank him from above, but the traps Evan had set slowed them. A falling branch knocked one off balance, and another tripped on a hidden wire. Evan moved carefully, keeping track of every movement. He did not need to fight all of them at once. He only needed to survive and protect Lily. Lily fired a shot at a soldier trying to climb down a rock. The shot hit its mark, and the soldier fell back, stunned but alive. She smiled quietly. She was learning from Evan's calm example, learning to strike only when it counted. Sarira growled in frustration. Why is he so fast? Why does he move so carefully? She circled, looking for an opening. Each time she thought she could strike, Evan anticipated her move and adjusted. Evan noticed her pattern. She always struck with power first, speed second. He could see her balance shift slightly before each attack. It was subtle, but enough to dodge or counter. He moved closer to a narrow canyon path where she had less room to swing her blades. She followed, not noticing the small rocks that would trip her. As she attacked, she hit one of the rocks, stumbled slightly, and Evan rolled past her. Careful, he said softly. You are strong, but strength alone is not enough. Sarira froze. The human had spoken in the middle of combat again. Her anger flared. No one spoke like that during a fight. She swung her blades faster, almost recklessly, trying to regain control. Evan stepped aside, letting her momentum carry her forward. He then pushed a small rock with his foot, and she slipped slightly. She recovered quickly, but her confidence was shaken. You are clever, she muttered under her breath. I have underestimated you. The battle moved through the canyon, from rocks to small clearings and ruined buildings. Evan used every element of the terrain. He rolled under attacks, ducked behind trees, and led Sarira into narrow spaces where her strength could not dominate. Her soldiers began to hesitate. They had expected the human to be weak, but he moved like a predator, careful and precise. Some whispered among themselves, unsure whether to follow Sarira's lead. Evan finally saw an opportunity. Sarira had overextended herself in a wide swing, leaving her side exposed. He could strike, but he did not. Instead, he used the moment to reposition, keeping her in the right place for the next trap. Sarira noticed him step away and growled. Why does he not attack? Does he know something? I do not. She adjusted her stance, ready for the next strike. She could feel her pride and anger mixing. She wanted to defeat him quickly, to prove that aliens were superior. Yet each attack ended with frustration. Evan took a small branch and placed it in a position that would trip her next step. He did not strike yet. He wanted her to make the mistake on her own. As she charged again, she hit the branch, stumbled, and almost fell. Evan rolled to the side, ready to counter if needed, but he did not strike. She regained her balance, breathing heavily, her energy blades humming loudly. You are not like the others, she admitted softly, almost to herself. Humans should not be this strong. Evan watched quietly. He could see that she was learning. Just as he had learned from observing her attacks. The fight was no longer just about survival. It was about understanding the opponent. Lily stayed close, amazed at the calm and precision of Evan. She had never seen such a fight before. Every move he made was deliberate, every action controlled. She realized that strength was not just about speed or power. It was about patience, awareness, and control. Hours passed, though neither fully noticed. The sun climbed higher, and the air grew warm. Sweat ran down Sarira's back, and her breathing was heavier. Yet she refused to stop. Each time she attacked, she tested Evan's limits. Each time he dodged or countered, she learned something new. By midday, the battle had reached a narrow canyon pass. Sarira was breathing hard, but her determination had not wavered. She could see that the human was not just surviving. He was controlling the fight. You are different, she said quietly. You do not fight like the others. Evan nodded, keeping his voice calm. I fight to protect, not to dominate. That is the difference between us. Her soldiers whispered among themselves. Some were shocked that their leader spoke to an enemy like that. Some began to feel respect for the human, though they did not admit it openly. Sarira circled him again, faster this time, her energy blades humming with energy. She attacked with everything she had. Evan dodged, rolled, and countered just enough to stay safe. He did not strike aggressively, only enough to push her into positions where her attacks were less effective. Finally, Sarira paused on a ledge, her chest heaving. She looked down at him and admitted silently that she respected his skill. She had underestimated humans, and it had nearly cost her. "You are clever, human. Strong, too," she said softly, not as an insult. "I did not expect this." Evan stayed calm. "Strength is not only in your body. It is in your mind, your patience, your choices. That is why humans survive." She studied him, feeling something strange. Admiration mixed with frustration. She had come to defeat him quickly, but she had learned something new. Humans were not weak. They were survivors. They were clever and disciplined, and that made them dangerous. The battle ended for the day, with neither side fully retreating, but both aware that the fight had changed. Evan had proven that strategy, patience, and calm could match raw power. Sarira had learned that humans were not prey but warriors in their own right. As the sun began to set, Evan and Lily found a hidden spot to rest. Lily's face was flushed, her hands still trembling slightly, but she smiled. "I think I understand now. I think I understand why you stay calm." Evan nodded. "Focus and patience. Strength is not just in your body. It is in how you think and how you control fear. That is what makes a warrior." Far above, Sarira watched the humans from a cliff. She rested her arms on her knees, her energy blades at her side. She was tired, but her respect for the human had grown. She realized that she could not underestimate him again. "They are not weak," she whispered. "This human, he is not just clever. He is dangerous, but not cruel. He fights for something greater than himself. That is different from anything I have seen." Her soldiers looked at her, sensing the change. She had always been confident and fierce. But now, she spoke with a new tone, one that carried respect for an enemy who had bested her, not by brute strength, but by skill and mind. The canyon grew quiet as the day ended. Mist rose again, hiding the rocks and shadows. Both warriors rested, preparing for the next encounter. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more tests of strength and skill. But both knew one thing clearly. The human warrior was not to be underestimated. And so, Part 3 ended, with the duel intensifying and a subtle bond forming between two warriors who had once been enemies. One was human, calm and patient, mastering every move with care. The other was alien, fierce and proud, learning the value of respect and observation. The story was far from over, but the first true understanding between them had begun, shaping the battles yet to come.